Hello, welcome to the BYU Structural Dynamics Research Group. We're going to give you a quick tour of our lab. Our lab does all kinds of testing and modeling. Most of our projects are at the interface between taking test data from structures, linear, nonlinear, time varying, and then trying to come up with efficient models for those structures. So I'll give you just a quick flavor for all the things we're doing. We don't have this set up right now, so I'll just show you a poster. One project we have going is using vibrations in the Achilles tendon to measure tension in the tendon. And so we have a device where we put two accelerometers and a tapper that sends waves up and down the tendon. And from that, we're able to work out what the wave speed is as a function of time, which correlates to stress in the tendon versus time. So we're hoping to use that to come up with better training and safety measures for dancers, mostly ballet dancers right now, trying to help them avoid injury in their training. So shifting gears completely, here we have a system for vibration control. So out here is the control station. In here we have a 2,000-pound LDS shaker, and this can do environment reconstruction, so electronics or other parts that need to go on rockets, missiles, things like that, even cell phones, automobiles, those have to be tested to prove that they can survive their vibration environment. So the way that would work is you'd have data and acceleration environment from a test. We play that back through the data acquisition, through the amplifier, into this big shaker, and it can replicate in one axis relatively high amplitude vibration environments. We do all kinds of research in this area, most of it involving kind of extending beyond one shaker to multiple shakers. So the setup you see right here is a modification with 4 piezoelectric actuators in line with the shaker. So the idea is that the big shaker would do low frequency vibration. These would allow you to put high frequency, smaller amplitude displacement perturbations on that to try to better replicate environments out to high frequency. So that's that setup. Out here we have one more setup that's along those lines, where it's not assembled right now, but this is a test article that flew on a sounding rocket as part of a project with the Kansas City National Security Campus. And we would connect lots of smaller shakers and try to use multiple small shakers to replicate the environment where traditionally people would use just one big shaker and do everything one axis at a time. So that's where that setup usually lives. Another big theme in our research group is testing structures with nonlinearities. So here's 2 examples of structures with bolts. This one is called the BARC structure, which box assembly with removable components, what that stands for. And this was created by Sandia Labs and the Kansas City National Security Campus to test environment testing methods. But there's several bolted joints in there, and we were wondering if this might exhibit nonlinearity. And so we did some testing, hammer testing, to collect data and characterize nonlinearities due to those joints. This structure is one that we've done a lot of work on. This is a benchmark structure called the S4 beam or the C beam. And it's basically 2 beams bolted together on each end. We have load cells on each end so we can measure the preload in the bolts. And then it's machined so that the contact can only happen in one controlled area. And this is something we've done a lot of testing on to understand the nonlinearities you get from friction and bolted interfaces. And I'll turn it over to Susanna to tell you about the testing she's done there.
Yeah, so as Dr. Allen mentioned, we do impact testing. We have an impact hammer, and at several different locations on this beam, we do an impact. You could probably hear the vibration response. And this hammer measures the force, the input force, and then we have several accelerometers strategically located on the beam that measure the transient acceleration response as the beam decays. And we did several impact tests, and then we also did some shaker testing Right here is a load cell, and this attachment attaches to the shaker, which is attached to this amplifier. And so we've also been trying different shaker testing methods to measure the acceleration.
Perfect. All right, now we'll come in here. This is where usually we do all of our computational work, but so we have computers with Abacus, other finite element software, MATLAB. But we have one other experiment set up in here that John will tell you about.
So this is a 3D printed metal rectangular beam. It was made by laser powder bed fusion. And the special thing going on here is that there's actually a pocket of trapped unfused metal powder on the inside. This one is 2 millimeters thick on the inside. And the reason that we thought to do that is to act as a mechanical damper so that it'll dissipate energy during vibration. And do a little demo here so you can hear the difference. This beam is fully fused, and this one has the 2 millimeter powder pocket. So listen to the difference between the vibration. You can't hear it ring at all, because there's more than an order of magnitude more damping in this system than in the fully fused beam. So we've been studying the interesting behavior of these powder damped beams. It turns out that the response is very amplitude dependent, and there's a lot of really interesting nonlinear dynamics going on that we're trying to understand better.
All right, thanks for visiting our lab. Hope you have a great conference. We'll see you later.